West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Well, it's 7 a.m., 6 a.m. Goodness, we're already starting it off.
I like 7 better. Let's do 7 a.m. I like 7 a.m.
Right. All right. 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Got an absolutely fantastic show for you today. The U.S. Supreme Court coming up with a major decision that's going to allow, shockingly, ICE agents to look at ethnicity, language, workplace, and just showing up and asking if you might be here legally or illegally. Brett Kavanaugh calling it common sense. The libs on the Supreme Court losing their minds. We're going to talk about that coming up, as well as Trump's visit to the Museum of the Bible. He donated the family Bible to the Museum of the Bible yesterday. And then Dave Flaherty, president of Magellan Strategy, is going to join us on a big poll that came out. I made a video about this poll last night, retweeted by libs of TikTok on X, now at 154,000 views, pointing out that ICE has a higher favorability rating than the Democrat Party in deep blue Colorado. Love it. Plus, Jared Polis and Donald Trump coming in at the same levels as well. What does this all mean for the future of Colorado? We're going to get into that. But now it's time for news and comment with Mr. Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, 58 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 85 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Weld County Sheriff Steve Reams warning the public that 21-year-old Devisa Ephraim could be dangerous to the community. He was released from jail because he was ruled, get this, of course, mentally incompetent to stand trial. He was arrested on suspicion to attempt second-degree murder and assault. Reams says state lawmakers create these laws, of course, to allow violent criminals to slip through the cracks, and great guys like Reams have to release them from jail. House Bill 1034 is the reason, signed by the great Governor Polis. Nice job, Governor. Republican State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer expected to announce that she's running for governor this afternoon. The Weld County State Senator also filed paperwork for her campaign Monday. Kirkmeyer served as a Weld County commissioner before being elected to the state Senate in 2020. Lone Tree Police asking for help with an ongoing homicide investigation. Officers were asked to do a welfare check at an apartment complex on Park Meadows Drive on Thursday. The officers found 57-year-old Kathleen Mayo dead inside the building. Anyone with information about her death is being asked to call the department's tip line. Homeland Security rolling out Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago, targeting criminal illegal aliens after DJT's repeated vows to crack down on the city's crime. Chicago's Mayor Azar's big boy once again pushing back because, you know what, he doesn't want there to be an answer and an answer to the Windy City crime. And DJT discussing the horrific murder of Irina Zarutska, who, as we discussed on Monday, was stabbed to death on a Charlotte light rail train in August.
And there was also a horrible killing recently in Charlotte, where I talked about, and so many others. And we're going to get to the end of it. And, you know, when you have horrible killings, you have to take horrible actions. And the actions that we take are nothing. This cashless bail started a wave in our country where a killer kills somebody and is out on the street by the afternoon. In many cases, going out and killing again. Cashless bail, and you try and reason with people like in Chicago with the governor and the mayor. You try and reason with them, and it's like you're talking to a wall. It's just.
And then Stephen Miller on Fox News last night on Democrats allowing all this crime to flourish.
The Democrat Party, Sean, is terrorizing the American people. Just think about what is happening in our major cities, the bloodbaths every single weekend. One victim after another, one shooting after another, one murder after another. When you have Democrat politicians like Pritzker and Newsom that are freeing illegal alien pedophiles, illegal alien child abductors, illegal alien murderers back into our streets to kidnap people, to beat them senseless, to stab them and shoot them to death, this is terrorism being waged against the American people.
And House Democrats on the Oversight Committee releasing new material trying to link 47 to Epstein. Problem is, since the Russia hoax, they really don't have a lot of credibility, honestly. Epstein's estate begins turning over files to Congress under subpoena, with the committee unveiling a birthday greeting allegedly sent from DJT to Epstein inside the outline of a nude woman. The signature really isn't even close to 47's, and his former attorney, who doesn't even like 47, has already said DJT doesn't draw pictures. Pennsylvania-based PNC Bank is taking over Lakewood's First Bank in a deal valued at more than $4 billion. The deal is expected to be complete in early 2026, though an announcement claims both boards have already approved the merger. First Bank CEO Kevin Clausen says PNC will be helpful.
We think they'll take us to a whole new level in terms of products and technology solutions that they provide.
Once finalized, PNC will be Denver's largest bank with 14% of the area's branch share. When the deal closes, First Bank will transition to PNC branding and banking platforms. The president is weighing a possible federal takeover of the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in New York City as the anniversary of the attacks approaches. White House officials say the idea is still in early exploratory stages. Apple unveiling its thinnest iPhone ever today as it rolls out the new iPhone 17, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max. Vikings come back to beat the Bears last night on Monday Night Football. 55 in Louisville, 56 in Arvada, 58 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for a pleasant early Tuesday morning. We'll be looking at readings generally upper 50s, maybe in a couple low 60s. Highs and lows a little above average for this Tuesday through Thursday, as we'll see highs in the mid and upper 80s. Can't rule out a low 90, lows mid and upper 50s. Few hit and miss thunderstorms. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Bill, if you remember me describing the IDF video of the October 7th attack that took place in Israel, I described a number of components, but one that really struck me was this young man calling back, this terrorist, calling back to his parents, bragging about the number of Jews he had killed.
This is a difficult one, and it's one that resonated with me too because it puts a voice to the actions. And what's so shocking for me is how this person is celebrating the taking of other people's lives.
Innocent lives.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a battle.
No.
And
it's just
typically,
citizens.
Typically if you watch soldiers battle each other, they kind of fight it out or do the killing or battle it out. But you don't see them calling their family members to brag about the number of Islamic terrorists that were killed, for instance.
And the idea it wasn't armed combatants. These are, as you outlined, innocent families, and the celebratory nature of this is shocking. It's really shocking.
This is audio that the IDF was able to capture of a terrorist using the cell phone of an innocent Israeli woman, calling back to his parents, bragging about how many he's killed. You're not going to understand it because it's whatever language the Palestinians
and then
speak.
You'll walk us
but
through what he says
I'll walk through. But I want you to get a tone of what this
listen
call
to
was
his emotions.
افتح الواتس تبعه قول له وهم شوف كيف القتلى شوف كيف قتلت بايدي يابا ابنك قتل يهود هاي دخلوا فلسطين يابا الله اكبر ربنا يحميك يا رب ربنا يحميك يابا ربنا يحميك يابا بكلمك من جوال يهوديه قتلتها وقتلت جوزها الله اكبر الله اكبر ولله الحمد الله اكبر ولله الحمد يابا افتح الواتس شوف كيف قتلت يابا.
Here's the translation of that call. Hi, Dad. I'm talking to you from Mefalsim, which is a city. Open my WhatsApp now, and you'll see all those killed. Look how many I killed with my own hands. Your son killed Jews. It's inside Mefalsim. Dad, the terrorist can be heard saying from the kibbutz in southern Israel in a recording the IDF had released shortly after the massacre. Abu Akbar, God is the greatest. May God protect you, his father responds. Dad, I'm talking to you now from a Jewish woman's phone. I killed her. I killed her husband. I killed 10 with my own hands. Dad, I killed 10 with my own hands, says that young man. Oh, my son, God bless you, the father replies. The phone belonged to Liraz Asulin, 38 years old, a Jewish woman who was killed while trying to escape the Nova Music Festival. Beautiful young woman, 38. Killed, and then her cell phone used by the terrorists that killed her and her husband to call back to his dad to boast of the killing of the 10 Jews. Well, got this word from my Jewish friends yesterday. That terrorist that made that phone call, killed in a targeted attack by Israel. So the headline coming from the Jewish News Service, Israel eliminates October 7th terrorist who boasted of killing 10 Jews. Israel on Sunday confirmed reports that the terrorist who had boasted had been eliminated by Israeli forces in the Gaza Strip.
This is fantastic. I no empathy. Yeah, no regrets. Again, for me, this is where I have a difficulty with some of the whataboutism in the current Israeli-Hamas conflict. I'm not saying that I agree with everything Israel has done to prosecute the war. I do think that there are some things that should have been done differently and could have been done differently, but I'm not in charge. And what I have to remind myself is in October, the attack, regardless of the history of fighting between the two sides. This was an organized attack on civilians. And where I keep coming back to is when Hamas launched the attack, they targeted no military installations. And for me, that crosses a line. You could make an argument, I'm not saying I endorse it, but you could make an argument that if Hamas had attacked some military installations and then there were some innocent people that were killed, that is a tragedy and awful. But because they were attacking military installations, it sort of sits in a different pile. However, with this one, they came in and they went after innocents. They went after citizens. This was a direct act of terrorism, and it was done to inflict the most pain and fear to those that are not armed combatants. None of the people, well, and I shouldn't say none, but almost none of the people that were attacked and murdered that day were armed because they didn't have time to, and that was the plan. That's different than attacking a military installation where the soldiers don't have time to arm themselves. It's totally different when you're attacking a civilian population. Hamas attacked a civilian population, made plans to do it, and carried out those plans. That, for me, changes the nature of the conflict and changes the nature of the war. I'm glad he's gone. Glad.
And if you've been tracking this at any point and looked at the type of educational material that the Palestinians have for their kids, it is this type of vitriolic hatred towards the Jewish people. And it comes out in that attack where, I mean, this young man thinks he's making his family proud.
Yeah.
Not by attacking a military installation, not by winning a military victory, but by killing innocent Jewish people.
Yeah.
He feels like he's making his father happy. And then that raises questions about how you could have ever continued to live next to those people. That's why I don't fault Israel at this point from just going, look, we got to take it all over. We can't. How do you let that on the other side of a border just fester and grow? Because you know the minute they get the chance, they're going to come over and kill innocent people.
There's a part where I disagree with you on that one because I disagree with the idea of the Palestinians equaling Hamas or Hamas equaling the Palestinians. I think that is a line that we need to be very, very careful about because I don't think it's fair to lump all the Palestinians into the group that is Hamas. This guy is Hamas, had bought into it hook, line, and sinker, and he is carrying out and thinks this is his right and his duty and should be celebrated. I'm not certain that every Palestinian would share his same worldview on this military operation, on the idea and what he did. I'm not sure everyone would. So, and that's what worries me in the conflict is the assumption that all the Palestinians are like this, because if they are, that gives breath in my mind to Donald Trump's idea of ethnic cleansing. And I don't mean that by killing them. I mean that by moving them, because ethnic cleansing can just be pick up a population and move them somewhere else.
Yeah, I disagree because I've spent time with Palestinians, and I'm not saying that Palestinians are all murderous type of people. But what I have seen, I spent 4 days walking around with them outside the DNC. To a person, they all really hated the Jews. I mean, really hated them. And when you see the Free Palestine stuff and what's happened in this country, Free Palestine to me is just code word for Antifada. Hate the Jews, kill as many Jews as you can. It's become intermixed. So what I don't see from Palestinians is a willingness to allow Israel to exist and to figure out a peaceful solution. I see with just about everybody I've been around that's Palestinian, a visceral hatred of the Jewish people, and I think that's prevalent in the entire people group. So, could be wrong. Prove me wrong. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Let's talk Gyrie's. We went to a Gyrie's location out there in Parker, and this has been a fantastic experience, primarily for my wife, who's got the kind of design mind that you have for our home, right? I just kind of do the chores and mend fences and take care of animals, stuff like that. My wife is the one that actually makes it a home. And she has been working with Guy Rees to figure out great custom blinds, shades, and shutters for our house. They were out yesterday, actually, doing final measurements for what they're going to be installing. We've had a great experience with a professional designer in our own home. And it's not just blinds, it's paint, it's window treatments, it's full room decor. They offer personalized in-home consultation where they'll bring the paint samples to you, bring the blind samples to you, and you can see how they're going to look in your home. So do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Guy Rees by going to GUIRYS.com, GUIRYS.com, GuyRees.com to schedule your in-home consultation. Great people. You'll be sure to thank me. Let's go to the phone lines. Herb, Denver. Good morning. Herb, you're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hi there. I don't know if you remember, my father was a Holocaust survivor, concentration camp survivor, and I'm extreme pro-Israel. And I had a call because, Bill, you are making me so darn angry.
Okay.
You are wrong. You are wrong. Come on.
In what way?
You got the facts wrong.
Okay. In
You
what way?
said the Gazans didn't attack any military installation. That is just a fact wrong. They did attack a military operation installation there, and they took those soldiers. They killed them, and they took some of those soldiers back. They if you were watching, you would have seen those soldiers on displayed on the videos during the. Some of them were given back. Okay, number two. About the.
Herb, I got a question. I got a question for you on that. So you're saying that I'm wrong. So I could be wrong easily on the idea that there was an attack on a military installation. The overwhelming target of the attack was what? Military targets or civilian population?
That's just a minor fact. Okay, I agree with you on that.
Now, Herb. Now that's important, Herb, because that colored and characterized my statements. That when Hamas attacked the innocents, that's wrong. Okay, that's it. Okay, continue.
Okay, and on the you saying, oh, I can't criticize the Palestinian people in the Gaza. Now, don't forget, I contend there are no innocents in Gaza because in kindergarten they are indoctrinated to kill Jews. These people are they are Nazis. They are no different than the Nazis who killed Jews during the Holocaust in the concentration camps. So that's what I'm trying to tell you.
We're all Jews Nazis.
What? All Germans, you mean?
All Germans Nazis. We're all Germans Nazis.
Okay, most Germans were part of the Nazi Party. That I would say that is true. Most Germans were part of the Nazi Party. They all came out into those Hitler rallies. The one that one guy you mentioned who committed those crimes and called his father, he was part of basically he was equal to the Hitler Youth and the SS.
My question is, how, Herb, would you ever expect anybody to live next to a group of people that feel that way about you? I just don't. This is why I give Israel a lot of leeway in what they're trying to do, because what they've learned over time is that if you just try to go peaceful, what you see out of the Palestinians, and I say Palestinians, not just Hamas, but the Palestinians, is that they rearm, they regroup, and they wait for that time to kill as many Jews as they can.
So if I was said, I would carpet bomb the entire Gaza and not leave a living soul.
Would that be ethnic cleansing?
Like I said, no one is innocent. Gaza.
Herb, would that be ethnic cleansing?
That would be getting rid of Nazis.
That's not. You're avoiding the question, Herb. I asked you a very direct question. Is that ethnic cleansing? Yes or no?
Okay, let's ethnically cleanse the Nazis. Fine with me.
Okay.
Because
just understand, Herb. Understand, Herb. It is difficult. Okay. It is very, very difficult for a group that has been the victim of ethnic cleansing to then turn around and continue to maintain moral superiority when they claim the result they need is ethnic cleansing of another group.
But do you believe, Bill, that there are reasonable Palestinians that want to live peacefully with the Israelis?
Yes.
You believe that? I haven't met any of them. I honestly, I haven't seen any of them. You don't see them on television. Everything's free Palestine or global intifada or from the river to the sea. I don't see that.
There's several organizations.
You even have Bill Clinton going, I tried to give them everything they asked. They want to get it.
There are other organizations that have examples of Palestinians and Jews working together and talk about peace. The Oasis of Peace is one of those. It's a village. There's a bunch of other groups that are working together. So this blanket statement that none of them is disproven based on fact. It's not all of them, and that's okay. And I'm not arguing the idea of indoctrination. However, we talk now about how there's all this indoctrination inside of our school systems, yet oddly enough, we see this large Republican registration in the younger kids right now. So again, before we say this indoctrination takes hold and is universally accepted, we don't see that in our country. We don't see that at all. So again, you're looking for.
I disagree.
I'm just saying what's proven. What's proven right now is the idea if all these kids are being indoctrinated to be these march in lockstep liberals, we don't see that based on voter registration. We don't see that based on voter behavior.
We just played an audio of a guy that was killing Jews based upon that indoctrination.
Yeah,
Herb, I'll give you the final word here.
That is an example, but he is not a universal example of everybody.
Herb, go ahead. Final word.
Let's not forget what it says in the Quran. It says that you can lie in order to profess. The ultimate goal of Islam is the submission and the conversion of the entire world. Let's not forget that.
Herb, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Great to see you at the Taste of Denver, by the way. All right, we'll continue. Phone lines are hot. Join the conversation by giving us a call. Did I say Taste of Denver? Taste of Douglas County.
Taste of Douglas County, yeah. Taste of Douglas County.
303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Phone lines are hot upon the news that broke that Israel eliminated one of the October 7th terrorists who had boasted of killing 10 Jews. The conversation has gone to, well, what do you expect Israel to do right now? My side is, look, they've tried for decades after decades after decades to live in peace with the Palestinians. The Palestinians, as you saw in this audio, have raised their kids to celebrate the killing of innocent Jewish people. I don't know as a nation how you live next to people like that. Okay? There's just, they've tried, and every time they've gotten to a place of peace, the Palestinians, not just Hamas, but the Palestinians have used it as a opportunity to rearm, get ready, and to attack again innocent Jewish people.
Yeah, I disagree with you using Palestinians there. That's Hamas, but that's okay. We can continue the discussion.
Yeah, and I point that out just because I've spent time around Palestinians, and what I don't see, and what Bill Clinton has confirmed, is that they don't want peace with Israel. That every time they've been offered peace, not just Hamas, but the Palestinian people, they don't want it. They want the elimination of Jewish people.
In June of 2024, there was a poll done about elections, that if elections were held today or in the near future, what percentage would vote for Hamas to continue to rule? 34%. 34% of Palestinians would vote for Hamas to continue in power. And that's in June of 2024. They don't hold elections because they'll lose. That's the reason. That's why they don't hold elections, because they'll lose.
Yeah, Bill, I just disagree. I mean, you could go.
This is a poll from the Palestinians.
Right.
What am I supposed to do?
We just went to a war with the Palestinian people and Hamas, and you don't see big groups of people going, release the hostages. It's their own people. They're not yelling at Hamas going, release the hostages. Instead, you get guys like this that are flying over, killing innocent Jews, and calling their parents back to celebrate it.
But he would be defined as a
this
person in Hamas.
War would end
That's
today if the hostages were released. Where are the Palestinians calling for Hamas to release the hostages?
I'm not certain. I don't think the war would end today if the hostages were released. I'm not certain. I don't think that's a true statement. I have a feeling that Israel wants more control over Gaza.
All right, so let's say it doesn't. Where are the Palestinians calling for the release of the hostages?
I don't know. I will look. But what I do know is that in June of 2024, and these are the Palestinians in a poll, 34% would vote for Hamas to continue to be in power in the Palestinian Authority.
It doesn't reflect their actions. I'm sorry, it just doesn't reflect their actions. So I don't trust the poll. I don't care what the poll says.
You're conflating there, because the guy that we play on October 7th is an awful human being, but a member of Hamas. Their actions are atrocious. I worry about the fact that we're painting with a broad brush, that we're just going to assume that they're all like that, even though we have lots and lots of information that they're not.
I don't think you have lots of information that they're not. I think you have decades and decades of experience of them showing that what they want is from the river to the sea. You see it in the chants. You see it in the people that march outside the DNC, that it was... There was one guy that showed up with a Israeli flag. One guy. And it was like hornets. And I have video of it. They're screaming at the guy. All because he just had one Israeli flag? They are not reasonable in what they want. They want the extermination of the Jewish state and the Jewish people, and they talk about it regularly. Let's go to Marcus and Aurora. Good morning, Marcus. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Morning, guys. Yeah, I agree with Herb and Jeff here. The whole thing behind this, it's not Hamas, it's the Quran. Muhammad married a 9-year-old girl, and their way of life and their belief is very dangerous. Hamas is only a part of their life. Peter Boyle's an expert on this, but the way that they look at it, when the gays and trans march with them, they don't realize they will kill.
Yeah, I understand that about the gays. However, Peter Boyles has been the one here on KNUS that has brought Palestinians on the air and has received a whole lot of people calling, texting, and a whole bunch of anger over giving voice to the Palestinians. He's had them in the studio here on Saturdays. So while he does say there's problematic things about the Quran, saying that he agrees in exactly the same thing that you're saying, I would disagree with.
No, I didn't say that. That's Peter's a different point. I'm just explaining the Quran is a way of their life.
Not again. And there are two different sects inside of Islam. And again,
see,
just
there's always two different sects, but it all comes down to the Quran.
But I know, but the issue being there are people that interpret the Bible differently.
Is there a single Islamic state on either side of those two sects that treats Jewish people respectfully?
I don't know.
You won't see it. No, you won't see it. And also, do they have a soccer team or anything? I don't know.
Israelis or the Palestinians?
Palestinians, do they have a soccer team or baseball or something?
I know, but Palestine doesn't. But Marcus, other countries do that are Islamic. I don't know what the point is. I'm not sure what the point is.
No, I just wondered out of curiosity.
Oh, okay.
All right, Marcus, Aurora, appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call. Let's go to Rod in Littleton. Good morning, Rod. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning, guys. Here's the problem. The Hamas controls everything, all the information coming in and going out. They control the food. The indoctrination is they're indoctrinating all the young people, kind of what the left is trying to do in our education system. And they are creating people who just hate. And we're not going to be able to, if they were to lay down arms, return all the hostages, there would not be a problem. I think Israel would step back and say, okay, you want to live in peace, let's do it. But if Israel were to lay down their guns, what would happen?
Total takeover. Total takeover.
Right. And there are statements in the Quran that says that disbelievers should either submit or be killed, period. Now, how can you negotiate from that point? You can't. The Palestinians just have an unnatural hate of Jews and then everybody else that doesn't believe they do.
And Rod, to that point, I ran the Boulder, and throughout the entirety of the Boulder, there were Free Palestine protesters the entire time. Okay, in Boulder.
Yep.
5 days later was the burning of the Jews on Pearl Street.
Right.
Okay, these are not separate entities. Yeah, they weren't the same exact people. But if you're going to live in a fairy tale world where you can have Free Palestinian protesters for the entirety of the Boulder, and then 5 days later, Jews being lit on fire in Pearl Street and not see the connection, it's bizarre to me.
Now, Rod, the one thing I would push back on is I do agree that the fighting would stop if Hamas would lay down their arms, but I disagree that Israel would work towards a two-state solution. Netanyahu, over the previous 24 months, has repeated the fact that he is against a two-state solution. He would not allow a Palestinian state, so they couldn't. So the idea of, I understand, you are correct about the fighting stopping when the arms are laid down by Hamas, and if Israel did the same, it would be absolute bloodshed. You're 110% correct. But what I don't see is I don't see the idea of this two-state solution later on, and this is the problem that I see, is if Hamas lays down their weapons and there isn't a path to a two-state solution, aren't they then just asking to be wiped out? Haven't we backed them into a corner? Okay, then what would they say?
History has shown that Israel has given. I mean, they were attacked when Israel became a state. They have offered on, I believe it's 3 occasions, for a two-state solution.
Rod,
and one of those.
Stop right there, Rod. That is in the past.
You're right.
Rod, I'm dealing with recent history. I'm talking about now. And right now, the man that is leading Israel says a two-state solution is not possible. Saying Palestinians in the past rejected it is accurate, but not necessarily germane to now when Israel is the one rejecting a two-state solution. Right now, we have both sides not saying there's no state, there's no solution. I don't see what the solution possibly is then.
It is, Jermaine, because we have history between the two. They were given the opportunity to have that. And now Israel's saying, you know what, we need you to stop the crap that you're doing, and we will live in peace.
No, that's not what they're saying. That is not, Rod, that is not what Netanyahu's saying. It's not what he's saying. You're mischaracterizing
Netanyahu is saying, my people have been attacked since the beginning of our country. And I'm not going to just say, let's have a two-state solution. I will let you live in peace. You prove to us that you will live in peace. And then I'm sure at some point they can come to an agreement.
Wait a minute.
I understand.
Hang on, Rod. How does this living in peace look for you? If they don't have any self-determination, if they don't have any rights as far as a state, what do you mean by living in peace? Isn't that just living? Isn't that just living under subjugation?
No. Stop killing Jews.
Rod, stop. Rod, I already said that you are right about the idea of Hamas laying down their weapons. What I'm bringing up is, even if Hamas and the Palestinians stop killing Jews, Netanyahu says you don't get your own country. That doesn't get them to a solution. That's the problem, Rod. What you're saying is the solution doesn't give the Palestinians freedom or self-determination. That's an issue.
Look what they've done with their freedom.
They have to earn
it. You can't give them freedom. They kill Jews when they get the freedom to do so. All right, Rod.
They need to earn it, period. They need to earn that.
Rod Littleton, sure appreciate the call. Thanks so much. What do you want to do, Bill? You want to try to get one more in? Okay, let's go to Rob Littleton. Good morning, Rob. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. I had the privilege of going with Peter Boyles to Israel about 10 years ago for a 2-week trip, and it was absolutely fascinating. We had primarily a former IDF tour guide, and this was a tour organized by your station. And then we spent 2 different trips into what they call Palestine or the West Bank, and there we had to have Palestinian tour guides because they would not allow the Israeli tour guide into that area. There was an intifada that had been passed just prior to our arriving by some Palestinian cleric to stab the infidels, pick up any knife, any weapon you can, because, of course, they don't have guns for the most part. And every day that we were in Israel, somebody somewhere was getting stabbed by someone. And my wife and I actually witnessed one of the events where 2 14-year-old boys stabbed 2 IDF soldiers right at the Damascus gate of the old city. And we were about 100 yards away when it happened, and, of course, the other soldiers lit them up. And so we walked up on 2 dead kids and two dead soldiers. And when I got out of that, after 2 weeks of that, of course, we spent a weekend in Paris. After that, we were stuck in Paris the night that ISIS attacked and killed, 214 people. We were very close to the first restaurant that got attacked. So my view is that, people talk about two-state or one-state solution. I don't see that there is a solution. And I really appreciate Peter trying to bring Palestinians out. He and I have talked about this many times over the years, just how frustrating that whole situation was for us to experience. But I just don't see that there is a solution. And I think that 100 years from now, people like us will be having the same conversation.
Rob, to your point, this has been a battle going on between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism for 2,000 years, and likely continue until the end of time. Rob Littleton, sure appreciate the call, and thanks for your perspective with Peter. All right, we've got You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Thank you to everybody that participated in that spicy conversation.
Yeah,
We're going to
good.
continue it in the 7 o'clock hour as we get into Trump immigration and the Supreme Court, where that will look, there's no other show like this one.
Yeah,
we appreciate y'all. We're going to take a little moment for some levity on this Tuesday morning with some You Choose the News.
Yes, it's time for America's favorite fake radio news game show. It's You Choose the News. It's basically a bunch of wasted time here on 710 KNUS. Why in the world would I browse the interwebs this early in the morning and then give these stories really ridiculous headlines to play this fake radio news game show? Well, Jeff and I found out that we are being left unsupervised up until 7 o'clock in the morning. That's when all the people in charge wake up, so we are taking full advantage. And as always, you need a fall guy. Another participant, and that is Blake Olson, who joins us from the newsroom. Gentlemen, here are this morning's choices. Headline number 1, Riding Dirty. Headline number 2, I think we found the winner. Headline number 3, lifetime definition is real important. And headline number 4, you had one job. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
Let's start with Riding Dirty.
Yeah, riding dirty. A man in British Columbia has been pulled over by police because he was riding dirty, but looking fantastic doing it recently. He was cruising down 15th Avenue near Nicholson Street in the afternoon, wearing his aviator sunglasses in his mid-30s, heading with his friend to 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee. But, it's a hot day. He was getting a little tired. That's why he borrowed his friend's tiny child's car. He was pulled over driving a Barbie Jeep down one of the main roads. Now, technically, he was only going 3 miles an hour and over near the curb, not really blocking traffic. But he said, I was kind of lazy and wanted to see if I could do it. His friend was walking on the sidewalk next to him during the time. So there were lots of people reporting there's a guy riding down the road in a Barbie Jeep. He actually was cuffed after he was searched, and they found a vape on him, and he took a hit of the vape, and they said, no, sir. So they cuffed him, and he wasn't complying with police orders. But according to the police, driving an unlicensed motor vehicle, even one for a child on a road, is against the law. So he will face the long arm of the law, yes, for driving the Barbie Jeep. Yes, he did look good doing it. I'm impressed that he fit in there. Just personally.
He didn't resist arrest?
No, he didn't. He didn't at all. It was very funny. Artie, Blake, your choice, sir. I think we found a winner. Lifetime definition is important, or you had one job.
You had one job.
You had one job. Here we find ourselves in St. Louis. A man in Missouri is charged with first-degree murder for his roommate's death recently. 54-year-old Marvin Bird was charged with murdering his roommate because his roommate had only one job. They were going to a college football game, small gathering of friends. Roommate was supposed to bring some household items and drugs for the party. He forgot both. So Bird went outside in the street and shot his roommate dead.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, officers are saying this probably has to do with long built-up frustration, something else between the roommates. They're still investigating. However, yes, because his friend didn't bring the household items, they don't say what they are, and drugs to the event, that's a shooting. Just like, okay.
That is
seems excessive. Yeah, for the
just
college
a little.
party. Yeah, well.
Just a little.
Artie, Jeff, your choice, sir. I think we found the winner, or lifetime definition is important.
I think we found the winner.
Yes, I think we found the winner. A contestant that is filming a survival challenge recently in the state of Michigan may actually have won because she disappeared for 18 hours. They had to send out a search party to find her. According to Oswego County Sheriff's Office, the 36-year-old woman who is competing in the survival challenge from California left the designated base camp in search for water about 5 p.m. Friday, September 5th. She didn't return for hours. The contest hosts, who unfortunately are not named in the story, were unsuccessful after looking for her for hours. They called 911 about 5 o'clock in the morning, 12 hours after she left to find water. Another 5 hours and 40 minutes later would pass before Michigan State Police helicopter located her deep within a swampy area far away from base camp. She had been out in the cold and the rain for almost 18 hours when they spotted her from above. She's just fine. She was able to walk out of the woods safely. So, yes, the contestant
And
filming
she
a
what?
survival... well, I don't know
Maybe.
what happened.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if she survives 18 hours alone in the woods on a survival challenge, she's got to be the winner. I don't care what the damn contest is. That's just the winner.
Well,
just
she
in
did
general.
get really lost.
Yeah, no, not necessarily.
Where's the water? Ended up in a swamp. You can't really drink that water.
No, she didn't. But yeah, that far away. Okay, how many of us ever getting lost in the woods? Because I know you've been getting some hiking and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah, me too. Late at night.
Yeah.
Might have been trying at the time to sneak from the boys' camp into the girls' camp across a ridge, and we got turned around a little bit. Yes, that did happen. We were lost in the woods for several hours trying to get back home to the base camp, so that the people, the counselors that didn't know we had snuck out, wouldn't know this. And good morning, Mom. This is the first time you're hearing this story if you're listening this morning.
And did you get to the girls or not? Did you just turn around and go back?
No, we made it. That's another story.
Thank God for knotholes.
Yes.
All right. Donald Trump,
wonderful.
immigration in the Supreme Court coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.